دعانا للنظر إلى مفهوم العلمي والعملي في استخدام الذكاء الاصطناعي التوليدي في المشتريات اليومية. تفاصيل أكثر يناقشها السيد أرون بروس، المؤسس والرئيس التنفيذي لشركة TransformationX.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Assalamu alaikum. And welcome to day 2. For me, I have enjoyed the last 2 sessions this morning. I have to say I took a lot out of Hugh's session, of looking inside, and I took a lot out of Michael's session from Mibach as well. Now, the one common thread between those 2 sessions and what I will speak about is the oft-used word AI, artificial intelligence. And what I hope to do over the next 20 minutes is to share a few tips and tricks of how to get the most out of AI in your day-to-day procurement. And I hope to leave you with some practical ideas and examples that you can start implementing right away. Now, we've all heard the word AI, and there's always a dilemma in at least some of our minds as to how real the topic is and whether it's truly beneficial or not. Well, data proves that companies that adopt artificial intelligence truly move ahead very rapidly. So what you see from this slide is a set of logos, and the companies on the right extreme are what you would call AI hyperscalers. They use AI in every business process, whether it is content creation, whether it is procurement, whether it is sales and marketing. And those companies systematically create a lot more value than their peers. So artificial intelligence is not just a nice to have, it's not just another toy, but it is something that is incredibly important in your day-to-day lives. It can create a lot of difference for the company and certainly for you at a personal level. Now, when we look at AI and think about what that means for procurement, it has very deep and lasting changes. If you look at the procurement function as a whole, and I'm oversimplifying this here, but I would break down what the procurement team does into 4 buckets for simplicity. You would have strategic sourcing, which is about smart sourcing professionals like yourself who go and talk to suppliers, negotiate, and get the right price, and do everything that leads you there, which is about identifying the right supplier. You have transactional procurement, which is the so-called PR to PO process, where you process purchase requisitions, issue the purchase order, etc. It takes a lot of time, not necessarily the most intellectually demanding, but very critical to keep it going. And then you have research and analysis. You look at data, whether it is sourcing data or PO data or anything else, and draw insights out of it. And most importantly, you also have relationships with your external parties, suppliers, and with your internal stakeholders, which is also very important. Now, when you look at how these can change over a period of time, what is already happening is a lot of research and analysis is getting into the AI zone. So the central zone is what you would do inside the company with people. Now, the top zone is where AI is already starting to sort of help you. So a lot of research and analysis is already doable by AI. Spend cube is a term that many of you may have heard of, which is about taking your spend data, analyzing it, finding out who your top suppliers are, what have been the historical prices. It is the first step to any sourcing. So spend cube and analysis is already being done quite a bit by AI. And at the same time, the bottom is where you have outsourcing outside of your company, which is not just about AI, but really about where capabilities can be transferred because of digital enablement. So a lot of transactional procurement can be done by third parties. It's not very intellectually intense. It's not critical to understand the context of the company and can be done. Now, what's important to understand is how the future could look. And what I want to present is a dramatically bold view of how the future could look even 3 to 4 years down the line. And I would draw your attention to the right column. So all rule-based transactions can be done by AI. So you have a critical supplier, there is a certain size of the order that is there, AI can do it, even if it is quite complex to think about. And all simple transactions can be completely outsourced. So the procure to pay, the PR to PO gray box is under threat, I don't want to sort of overplay the issue. We talked about AI in the morning and emotional intelligence, but really between outsourcing and doing AI, transactional procurement is sort of slowly going away. With the power of AI, you have research and analysis as another great candidate for artificial intelligence to fully take over. So that gets also taken over. So what do the in-house smart professionals of tomorrow do? Really two things. The first is critical non-rule-based sourcing. You're dealing with a critical supplier. It's not straightforward. There are emotions involved. There are partnerships involved. You can't allow AI to take decisions on their own. They can at best be an assistant. And most importantly, relationships will become even more critical in the future. What AI cannot do is replace a human's EI, emotional intelligence, or emotional IQ. And you need that. If you're talking to an external supplier, you need to connect with the person. The person needs to understand your needs and you, the supplier's needs. That can only be done by a human. So far, no AI is as good enough to do that. Similarly, internal relationships are important. Demand management is an important lever. For that, you need internal relationships. So the summary of this slide is procurement is transforming dramatically, but there is still a huge role for humans like you and I to play in the future, which is about relationships and which is about critical non-rule-based tasks. Now let's get into some practice. So what we did with one of the clients that we work with is to run a survey on how the typical sourcing executive spends their time from morning till evening. So what you will see on the left-hand side is a breakdown of a 9-hour workday, 540 minutes. In a typical workday, not necessarily all on the same day, you spend a lot of time evaluating proposals, technical proposals, commercial proposals. You figure out what prices have been quoted. You figure out the fine print, the terms and conditions, and sort of try and put it down so the proposal evaluation is good. Alignment on evaluation criteria, internal discussions and relationships is good. Finalizing the contract, finalizing the statement of work, RFX, etc. is also important. And then, of course, procure to pay is also something that takes a lot of time. So this is a summary of how the team fully spends their time, not just one individual. Now, if you look at it, what can be done in 9 hours? With the power of AI, you can crunch it to less than 1 hour in many areas. So as far as reporting on procure to pay status is concerned, your boss calling you and saying, hey, where is this PR? The supplier is unhappy. What is happening? You can use AI to create intelligent dashboards, even better than what you have in your ERP. That saves a lot of time, takes human interactions away from it. RFX drafting, RFP, RFI, RFQ, you all spend a lot of time on those areas. That is one great example where AI can dramatically take the headache off you. You can get high quality RFPs at the click of a button. That is almost 99% ready to go. And the more you do it, you will know what to check for. Evaluating proposals, comparing proposals. So all of these can be done in dramatically quick time. And therefore, procurement's focus will shift towards supplier management, rigorous data analysis, strategic activities, strategic category management. However, one word of caution, as far as AI is concerned, there are some areas where AI is still not perfect. And here are 4 examples of where big companies, while they've created value, have also lost a lot of value because of poorly built AI. So if you look at Samsung, for instance, great company, but with ChatGPT being used, there was information leak. And this was a big, big challenge. So information security, when you use B2C AI platforms like ChatGPT on the internet, is a challenge. And you need to be cautious about that. Air Canada used AI to give fair information, and the AI started hallucinating. It started projecting, giving false information, and then that gave out a lot of false information. That was a big issue. Zillow is a real estate platform in the US, quite successful by and large, but they used AI algorithms to predict the price of houses, and the AI got it wrong in some instances. So artificial intelligence is still not perfect. So it is powerful on the one hand, but not perfect. And that raises the question, how do you best leverage AI on a day-to-day basis? This is a busy slide, it's a complicated one, but it's an important one. When you think about where to use AI, you should think of two dimensions. On the y-axis, you think of the impact of using AI in your process. So where can you save time the most, or where can you get the most value? So that's the y-axis. On the x-axis is feasibility of AI to help you, as per things as they are currently. So if you look at this, and there's a lot of stuff here, feel free to take photographs. This is also a presentation that will be sent to you. The top right-hand corner is where AI is most mature and where it can help you the most, as of today. So RFP drafting, RFI, RFQ drafting, if you are using it, if you are drafting RFPs on your own, then you are wasting your time, even today. You should use AI in order to draft it. Second important point, contract review. So when a supplier sends you a proposal, usually they pack a lot of credentials, there's a lot of stuff in there. You can pass that through AI, and there are different platforms that can help you do that. That can throw up issues and opportunities for you to negotiate. AI-enabled supplier discovery in many of your categories, except the most core to your business, especially in stuff like IT, laptops, stationery, for instance, transport, and a lot of these common corporate categories, the supplier environment is very dynamic. So identifying new suppliers in your region is something that you can do with the power of AI. And then if you look at the next concentric set of three squares, you have a set of additional use cases that are getting quite mature. And I'm willing to bet that within this next 6 to 12 months, you'll have a lot of these light blue ones also getting into the top right-hand corner. So AI is here, it's now, and it can already help you. Now, an example of AI in RFP drafting. This is how it works. In any AI platform, ChatGPT, for instance, and before that, a quick show of hands. How many of you already have ChatGPT in your laptops or phones? Great. Great. I see quite a few hands, 50, 60% of the audience. Very good. Now, if you use the chatbot in ChatGPT and enter a good prompt, and we'll talk about prompts and the quality of it in a bit, generate RFP draft for cloud-based ERP system, for manufacturing company, you can enter your company's name with a certain amount of revenue, etc. The AI already gives you a good enough draft. It's not perfect to use. It may not be compliant with your internal policies as yet, but it gives you a good draft. And then you can sort of work on it and improve it. So this is a great example of how you can use AI to draft the RFP itself. But in order to get the best out of AI, you need to understand how AI thinks. And the analogy that I would give you is you should think of AI as your partner, as your spouse. For a good partnership, you need to understand each other. You need to understand how the AI thinks, and the AI needs to understand how you think. Let me give you a little bit of a background of how the AI thinks when it receives a query from you. It processes the query across 9 different, in reality it's much more than this, but there are 9 different elements that the AI disaggregates your query into. What is the type of a task? Is it draft? Is it final? Is it an Excel sheet? Is it a message? So that's the first thing that it does. What is the main topic? So you need to ensure that the query is designed in a way that the main topic is understandable by the AI. That needs to be clear. There should be no confusion. What are the details of the topic? So in this case, you're doing RFP for cloud computing. You need to be very clear that this is for the region, Saudi Arabia. You may want to mention the larger, broader category as well. It's within IT. What do you want to optimize for? Local content, total cost of ownership. What is the output format that is required when you're, let's say, trying to find suppliers? You need to have it as a matrix. What is the place? What are the references? What are the soft constraints as well? The tonality of the document, as an example, is a soft constraint that you can train the AI to understand. So each of these elements is important for the AI to get the full context of what you want it to do. And again, if some of these are unspecified, some of the AI platforms have memory from your earlier uses, so they try and synthesize and extrapolate based on that. But as you think of prompts, think of how the AI interprets what you say in order to get the most out of it. And let me give you a further example of a difference between, let's say, a good prompt and a bad prompt, right? So what you see in this slide is 3 different examples of creating an RFP, right? At a very basic level, you can say, draft an RFP for purchasing laptops for my company in Saudi. It's good enough for you to understand, but not rich enough for the AI to understand it as yet. Why? Because the details are not there, the time cues are not there in the first one, the full context is not there, output format is not there, references is not there. And you fast forward to the bottom end. Here you say, draft an RFP for Energy Star certified Arabic language supported laptops. Because you don't just want any laptop. Every company here wants a certain kind. Either it's Lenovo or HP as a brand, or it is high Energy Star rating as an example, or with high protections as an example. So as much context as you have, add that. The size of your company also drives, let's say, the nature of laptops and the deals that you get. So you may want to add the size of your company. Most importantly, the AI does not understand your legal team's requirements. It does not understand the RFP format that is used in your company. So in a protected environment, you should feel free to upload the RFP. And again, in a protected environment. And we'll talk about what that means. So once you upload a few draft RFPs from previous examples, then you're training the AI to understand how you design the RFPs and create the RFP in that particular structure. So think about all these as examples of between, let's say a bad prompt and a good prompt in order to get the most out of AI. And when you do this, and these are again examples of where we've actually tried it in real systems. If you look at supplier search, what you would do typically is you would spend time on Google, you will review all the earlier purchase orders, you will think of who your older suppliers were, identify newer suppliers from searches. You may go to Amazon or other e-marketplaces to find names of such suppliers, and then you would do it. But with generative AI, if you create the right prompt, and if you're able to upload your spend data, it can do this in a fraction of time. Similarly, when you look at price benchmarking, especially for products which are in the B2C space and B2B, such as corporate categories, transport, etc., you can also leverage the power of AI. It dramatically brings the time down. And also in terms of RFP creation, of which we've talked quite a bit. Another slide of caution. So where should you not use AI? So far, we've been championing where AI should be used, but let me give you a few examples of where AI should not be used. So if you want 100% accuracy, and if it's mission critical, do not blindly use AI, because it's still not perfect. The accountability of the AI service providers is far from perfect. They're not liable. If ChatGPT gives you a wrong answer, you can't pick up the phone and yell at him or sue him. That doesn't work. 100% accuracy, certainly not. If the input data is private or sensitive, and this is most important, people have lost their jobs so far in some cases if they've used this in a public environment. So don't upload your company's policies in an unprotected environment, as an example, or anything else that's sensitive. So if it's private and sensitive, think twice. If the mission is critical, but if the inputs are vague or you yourself don't understand the topic very well, then don't use AI for decision making, right? That's another one. If it's unfamiliar territory, again, do not use AI. You may use AI to learn, but if you use AI to create a decision for you, either in terms of RFP creation or identifying new suppliers, you should think twice. Private output data, again, don't do that. Empathy and ethical considerations, if it leaks out, then that again, could again be a challenge. Let me step back and say, what is likely to happen in the next few years in AI, and where should you start? So today, if you look at artificial intelligence, you should think of the artificial intelligence service providers or LLMs, as they call it, large language models, in three categories. In the left extreme, you have the most user-friendly LLMs. These are what you would call plug and play. They're quite advanced, they market themselves well, they're easy to download. ChatGPT is a great example. DeepSeek, their Chinese competitor, is another good example, so they're already there. They're also relatively cheap when you want to try it as a B2C user. They're free, or in some cases, they're $20 a month, as the ChatGPT subscription is. If you want really high-quality stuff for specific uses, etc., then you need to go for the middle bucket, which is custom-built. Here you have Mistral, you have Llama 2, and similar other large language models. They're not that user-friendly from a B2C perspective, but from a B2B perspective, a lot of the AI-powered applications in today's world, in the more advanced companies, use these. And they are obviously more expensive because you need to invest in them upfront. It's not a per token sort of a price that you end up charging them. And then you have a lot of niche AI that is actually coming, on the right-hand side for very specific applications, which is sort of quite complex and quite evolving. Yeah, so that's a lot of AI. One question that we get asked very often is, what is happening as far as DeepSeek is concerned? How many of you have tried DeepSeek? Yeah, I see quite a few hands, certainly lesser hands than ChatGPT, which is understandable because ChatGPT is the more commonly used platform. Now, DeepSeek, for everyone's awareness, hit the news media a few months ago. It is a Chinese-backed AI platform, and their claim was that this was significantly lower cost and as effective or more effective than ChatGPT. And the jury is still out on how this is being played out. But our perspective on this is it's less versatile as of today as compared to ChatGPT. It is trained mostly in English and Chinese, which is great, by the way, but it lacks the multimodal training that ChatGPT has over it. So that's one point to keep in mind. Second, ChatGPT is certainly less green than DeepSeek. So DeepSeek's claim that it is environmentally much more world-friendly is actually quite true. So it does use lesser energy than the historical models. But data privacy is a gray area because of the history of software from the region, and also because this is very new, and anyway within AI, it's difficult to hold people accountable. So as far as data privacy, I'd say the jury is still out. It certainly needs a lot more scrutiny, even in their enterprise versions, to see if DeepSeek is as ironclad in contract as ChatGPT is. Yeah? So far we've talked of the fact that AI is real. It's not just another fad, and it's a very important skill to have. Second, AI is transforming procurement. In the future, relationship-critical tasks and truly intelligence or complex tasks will be done in-house, and everything else is likely to be either outsourced or done by AI. Third, when you do AI, you pick the tasks where the impact is highest and the current feasibility is the most. And there are three that we talked about. Supplier search is one very important one. RFP creation, honestly, is another personal favorite, of mine. Fourth, we talked of how AI thinks, how AI needs to understand you and you need to understand AI. We talked of the 9-step framework, which is there in the slide. So as you create prompts, practice across those 9 elements, it will certainly help you. And last, we talked of the risks of using AI and how you can actually keep that in mind. So, and because of a lot of these risks is why there are products that provide cybersecurity and a good data protection that are coming into the market. There are many that are there. One is also a product that we've put out in the market, Procure Co-Pilot. I would strongly encourage you to experiment with it and experiment other products that use generative AI, but in a more protected environment for your benefit. And let me close by leaving 3 asks for you if you were to get the best out of AI. The first, if you haven't installed ChatGPT, please install it. If you're a mid to senior person who has a lot of documents, having their monthly subscription is not a bad idea. It's $20 a month, it's helpful. I would strongly encourage that you would do it. Second, to the point of learning how your partner or spouse thinks, you need to understand how prompts are interpreted by the AI. Prompt engineering is an important topic. It's already part of college courses in many colleges. You can go up on YouTube, you can see videos on how to devise prompts, you can talk to friends. The third and the most powerful way is to find friends in your organization who also share the passion of AI. So find AI interest groups, learn from them. I would say that's the most practical way to keep in touch on a topic that's as rapidly advancing as this is. With that, thank you for your attention, and I hope you have an impactful time and a fun time leveraging AI. Thank you.